Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. So it's our friends over at Joanne.com. Hey, you ready for week number 5? Because I got it right here. So we're going to progress right into this section here, and you're noticing that we're going to create gapping spaces that give the extra texture a little bit of oomph. So leaving gapping spaces is really a great way to be able to create that textured look. So once we get this done, you're going to want to watch your gauge on this one because of the ends, because this tension based on the last section that we did could be slightly different. So just watch that and make a decision that is right for you. We've already talked about that in the past. So this section is really quite an awesome. So without further ado, let's head on into the studio and let's get started right away. So let's progress to week number 5, clue number 5, and we're going to continue to get this started all the way up. So what we're going to do is that we have 2 pages of instructions. We have some setup rows in order to get ourselves started. You can see that there will be a diagonal skipping stitch going on here, and we will be working on that together. So it's the diagonal eyelet stitch pattern. I've never done this before, so this will be new for me too. So we're going to continue along. You'll notice that there is a crochet diagram on page number 2. Let's zoom in on that and let's see what we're going to get ourselves into today. So right now we're at the edge of the green, and now we're going to do 3 rows of this orange, and then we're going to progress then into the white and then finish it off here with this sun soaked. So we're going to continue right here. Let's go to the diagram now, and in the diagram you can see that we have this. So these are the edging rows of finishing up then what we have done on clue number 4. So you'll notice that we have to put 2 together every now and then. We're going to be concentrating on that, and then we're going to get ourselves once we're done that. So we're going to set ourselves up first, and then we are going to then get ourselves ready for row number 2 and 3. So let's begin. We're going to work in the front loop only. By now in this tutorial we have been doing that, so we just want to concentrate on the front loop, so just the 1 strand. So we're going to do a decrease row here, and we're just decreasing just by I think 3 stitches here, and what we're going to do is that we're just going to chain 1, and we're going to do a single crochet FL, so single crochet front loop, and just moving everything aside so you can see it. So every particular stitch that you see is going to get something. Okay, so let's work our way through this idea. So working in the front loop only. Now once you find the front loop, just lay the stragglers down on top and pull through, and then just single crochet. So we've done the first one here. So we want to include that as being the first 20. So this is 1 of 20, and now you're just gonna work and count. So let's count those out together. So I will only count now in front loop only, single crochet bearing in the straggler as you're doing it. So this is 2, 3, 4, and 5, and now just put me on hold now, and then meet me when you get to 20 done. So this is 5. Okay, once your first 20 are in, the next 2 are going to be together. So just going into the next stitch, still the front loop, pull through, and then advance to the next stitch, in, pull through, and then pull through 2. So here's the repeat pattern for the remaining of this row. You are now going to single crochet in the next 18 single crochets, and then put the next 2 together, and you're gonna do that twice. So you'll do 18 and then put 2 together, 18 and put 2 together, and then we will just meet you near the end of the row, and we'll just recap from that point. So remember 18 and then put 2, and then 18 and then put 2 together. So my last 18 were in and then put 2 together. So the remaining now all the way to the edge is just 1 single crochet in the front loop as you wake your way all the way to the edge at this point. So this just evenly reduces the amount of stitches you needed for the next row, but did it midway through, so instead of being so obvious then on the outside edges. So please single crochet the front loop only to the end of the row. So if you count along and say you had like 81 or even 82, you want it to be pretty close to what you needed, then what I would do then is that in order to reduce stitches just somewhere along the path, just put 2 extra together, so then that will reduce it down to 81, and then reduce somewhere else to and that'll bring it down to 80. Now if you had, for example, that you only had 79 stitches, then maybe what you can do, instead of reducing like the 18 together here, maybe you should just skip it completely and just put one single crochet in each. Mistakes happen, so it's the idea of being able to manipulate if you have to at this point, and you probably would never even notice either. So let's begin rows 2 and 3, just nice and simple. Just chain up 1, and in the regular stitch work now I want you to just place one single crochet in each of the stitches going all the way across, and please do that for 2 rows, and then maybe at the end of those 2 rows, and we'll continue along and get into the fun stuff of this particular clue. So once you get to the end of the 3 rows, so you have the front loop that you did and then 2 additional rows that were just the regular stitches, single crochet, you're just going to join the B, which is in the last one. So just finish that last stitch, pull the white through the last 2 loops, and now white's ready. And now get rid of your orange, and now we're gonna progress into this part of the section. So as we begin to do this section here, we have row number 1 and 2 of the setup rows. We're gonna start number 1. Now it doesn't show that we're gonna do 2 together, but we are, and the reason why they're not showing it here, they don't want to confuse you in the future, so we have to look to the written instructions for that. So we're just going to chain up 1 and 1 single crochet in the back loop only for the next 15, and then the next 2 are together. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to do 1 single crochet in the back loop again for the next 14, and then 2 together, and repeat that 3 times. So what we're doing is that we're going from 80 stitches down to 76 as we then get this particular stitching already as we go. And then the next row we're then going to start up, we'll have our gap spaces, and then it's kind of nice and easy to follow from that particular point. So let's go now, set up row number 1, and we're gonna do a decrease from 80 stitches to 76. So let's get you started. We're gonna chain up 1 and just grab your stragglers. You might as well get those into position, and again if you need just to pull those out of the way so you can see it. So go in the back loop only at this point on that first one. Always the first stitching is kind of difficult to find. I can see it, I just gotta stick it. There you go. So we're gonna pull through, pull everything nice and tight, and then pull through. So this one here, and this is 1 of 15. So now in the back loop only, continue to bury in your stragglers as you go until you get those nice and secured. So this is number 2 and 3, and continue to do all the way to 15 for me, and then meet me back here in just a moment. So now that my first 15 are in, I'm gonna put the next 2 together. So back loop only, pull through, go to the next one after that, pull through, you got 3 loops, pull through all 3. So the repeat pattern, then you'll do this 3 times, is that you're gonna single crochet in the next 14 and then put the next 2 together, and then as I said you have to do that 3 times, and then what you do after that is that I'll meet you at that point, and then we'll continue right to the edge. So remember, 14 single crochets in a row in the back loop only, and then 2 together, and continue to use the back loops. So please do that now. So after you get your final 2 together, the remaining then all to the end of the row, there should be 15 single crochets left, and continue on the back loop only and get that double count to make sure that you do have 76, and I'll see you at the end of this row. So right to the end of the row, finish it off, and now we're gonna begin setup row number 2. So setup row number 2 is gonna create the gapping spaces. Make sure you do have 76. If you don't have 76, say it's 77, then you're just gonna have to do 2 together somewhere just to keep it even. Hopefully your counts are working out, but of course when you can't make it, you can fake it, right? So that's kind of our model here. So sometimes you just gotta adjust. Let's move on to setup row number 2. Let's go back to the diagram and let's review. So we're now going to begin the setup row number 2. So we're just gonna chain up 1, and we're gonna put 3 single crochets in a row, chain 2, and skip only 1 stitch, and then 3 single crochets in a row and skip 1 stitch, and we're gonna continue to do that all the way end. This is indicating that we have 4 stitches will be left over at the end of this, and this is allowing it to have a shift so that you can have the diagonal look that you can see there. Let's begin setup row number 2. So now the fun stuff's about to start. We're gonna chain up 1, and we are going to create then 3 single crochets in a row. So 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 2, skip only 1 stitch, and then jump over and do the next 3 in a row. So 1, 2, and 3. So the repeat pattern, chain 2, skip only 1 stitch, and then 3 single crochets in a row. Please do that all the way, and we'll meet you at the very end, and make sure that we do have those 4 single crochets that will be left at the very end. We'll see you there in just a moment. So in keeping with the pattern, the last 4 in a row will each be 1 single crochet, and then we're gonna move up to the repeat pattern, and it's 1 through 4, and you'll repeat that once after you get that done first time. So that's what it looks like, and let's turn our work and begin row number 1 of the repeat pattern. So the repeat pattern is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you'll want to repeat that once, it says, and it also says that written in words as well. So we're gonna chain up 1 single crochet in the first, chain 2, skip only 1, and then next 3. Notice that the third one is in this chain 2 that you see, and then chain 2, skip over, then the first single crochet, and then single crochet in the next 2, and the last one is in this gap. So what this is doing is it's shifting over this gapping space to be on an angle just like you see. Let's begin row number 1 of the repeat pattern. So let's get you started. You're gonna chain up 1 and 1 single crochet in the first one, and now we're gonna chain 2 and only skip 1. So just skip the 1 and go to the second over and single crochet 3 in a row. So 1, 2, and the third one is in the chain 2 space, 3. Now chain 2, skip the first single crochet and go immediately to the second and go 1, 2, and the third one is in the chain 2 space. Chain 2, skip the next single crochet, jump to the second one over, so 1, 2, and the third one is in the chain 2 space. So please do that all the way across. This is row number 1 of the repeat pattern. When you get to the end of row number 1, you should have just 2 stitches left. So you just did the gapping space, chain 2, skip the first one, and there's 2 left over. So let's turn our work and go to row number 2, and let's begin that next. So to keep the diagonal moving up on its angle, just like you see, so it's going in this direction, and you can see that we're really gonna start establishing that in row number 2. So we're just gonna chain up 1 and do 1 single crochet in the first one, and then chain 2, and then go immediately then into the gapping space and go 1, and then get the next one, 2, and 3. Chain 2, and just immediately jump to the gapping space. So you're jumping over this one and go right into the space. So 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, and then go to the next space and go 1, 2, and 3. So repeat that all the way across. This is row number 2, and the diagonal is really starting to show up now. So coming up to the end of row number 2, just chain 2, and then just skipping the last one, go right into the space, and then go right into the next single crochet, and that's it for number 2. Just turn our work and let's review number 3. So let's review number 3. You're gonna chain up 1 and you're gonna put 3 single crochets in the first, or 1 single crochet in the next 3. So 1, and then 2, and the third one is the gapping space. Okay, so now the angle is going up on this side. So depending on which way you turn it, the angle of that changes. So you just wanna maintain that. So you're right in the space, chain 2, skip the next one and go to the second one over. So 1, 2, and 3, and then chain 2, skip the next single crochet, go to the second one over. So 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, and etc. So please do that all the way across. This is row number 3. So coming up to the end of row number 3, just want to make sure that you're paying attention here. So I have my gapping space, I skipped over, I go 2, and I'm in the gapping space, and there's only 1 stitch left, and I want to also do there. So the ending of number 3 has 4 single crochets in a row. Let's turn our work and start row number 5, which is the end of the repeat, and then you'll go 1 through 4 once again. Let's start row number 4. Chain up 1 and 1 single crochet in each of the next 3. So 1, 2, and 3. So looking where the angle is, so the next one here is obviously the space, so 1 and 2, and then go into the space itself, and then go 1, next one, 2, and 3. Chain 2, skip to the next space because you're skipping over that one. So 1, 2, and 3. Please do that all the way across for the row number 4, and this is the end of the repeat, and you're gonna do this one more time. I'm coming to the end of number 4, and I'm just finishing into this gap, and then the last 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3 are each 1 single crochet. So the repeat pattern now goes. So if you're gonna this is the second time through, you're gonna advance to the next part, but if you need to repeat this one more time, all you're just going to do is just start back over in the diagram on number 1, and let's begin and get you started again. So just chain up 1 and 1 single crochet in the first one, and then chain 2, skip 1 and go to the second over for 1, 2 and 3. So you're in the gap again, and then chain 2, skip the 1 and go to the next one. So 1, 2 and 3. So just record that you've just doing number 1 again, and the angle should be the same as you're seeing it progress. So please do repeats number 1 through 4 if you need to, and if you're ready to go on, then that's what's next after this. So if you're now ready to continue, I did repeat it one more time so you can see that this is about a hand distance, or at least my size. So now we're going to go back to the diagram and let's just review, because we only have 4 more rows left and then your Afghan is complete before the icing on the cake. So if you remember, we did a decrease down here in order to do this. So the first row of the 4 we're just gonna leave as is, and then you're just using your vintage white, chain 1 and 1 single crochet into each, put 1 single crochet into the chain 2 space and carry on. Once we get to the next row here, you'll use your sun soaked and you'll be able to go across. Now there doesn't show any increasing, but what we are going to do in the first time is that we are going to increase ourselves to get ourselves back to 80 so that this blanket stays in line together. Once we get that row done, then the next 2 are just regular single crochets, and then your blanket is officially complete. Okay, so let's pick it up. So we're gonna chain up 1, and then we're just gonna do 1 single crochet in each of the stitches, and then in the chain 2 space I want you just to apply 1 single crochet only, and this will keep it all in line. So just 1 single crochet right into that space, and then just carrying on 1 single crochet in each of the single crochets, and then 1 into the space that you keep running into. At the end of this row we are going to switch it off for your sun soaked, and then we're gonna carry on from that point. So please do this all the way across. So I'm coming up to the very end of the first row and using vintage white, and that's in vintage white for this whole pattern this time around of the stitch along. Let's get your sun soaked back up and let's pull through the final 2, and now let's go across. Let's get rid of the white that is on here now, and then we will come back and we will just start and we'll do an increase row, and then the remaining 2 rows are really quite fabulous. So let's begin to do that next. So let's begin to do an increase row. Just grab your 2 stragglers so you have them, chain up 1, and you want to single crochet in the front loop only of this. So just pull things out of the way if you cannot see it, and just get the front loop only, and make sure the stragglers are down on top so you can get them underneath. So that is 1 of 15. So what I want you to do is 1 single crochet in each of the front loops all the way until you get 15 done, and then what we'll do is we'll do an increase and then just quickly review from that point, and then I'll see you at the end of the row. So just 15 right now, and then just I will see you in just a moment. So I've now just finished repeating that 3 times, so 14 and 2, and now the last 15 single crochets in the front loop will each be 1 single crochet, and then you can turn. I've already counted in advance so I know that's gonna be right for me, and again, if it's not right for you, just you know, fake it or make it right, and then get yourself to the end. You got 2 more rows left after this, and then your blanket is complete, and then we'll go for the icing on the cake, include number 6. So once you get to the end, pull through 2. Turn your work in the next 2 rows exactly the same, chain up 1 and 1 single crochet in each of the stitches right to the end, and then turn and then chain 1 single crochet in each, and then your blanket is complete. And I'll see you there in just a moment. Weave in your ends, you're done with this yellow, and then we'll begin to clue number 6 next week. We'll see you then. Okay, so final stitch out of the Afghan. There we go, we're done. So now we're going to use our tapestry needle. You could have used it at any point anyway all the way through, but we found ways to bury it as we went, if you've noticed. So you're just gonna pull through, and now you're going to put this onto a tapestry needle. This kind of idea, because there's nothing to grab onto it at this point, you'll want to use a tapestry needle to hide in any loose ends that are not fastened in. And I want to look to what is the good side of the project and what is the bad side of the project, and I want to stay to the side that makes sense. This yarn is very easy to hide, and you're just going to bury it in. Okay, so just stay there, just pull through, but when you pull, don't pull it to the point where you're going to change the way that the edge looks, and then going through a slightly different path, going number 2, and then finally a slight different path again in the other direction, number 3. So going back and forth 3 times will permanently hide this yarn in, and then that's it for your clue for this week, and then we'll be joining me next week as we continue along with our clues. So that's it for now. That was week number 5. So now the whole section is complete. Now in week number 6, we're gonna get into the fun stuff, the icing on top of the cake. Of course, we wanna see your creativity as always, so please join us over on our social media and please use the hashtag of Handmade with Joanne. So on behalf of my friends over at Joanne.com and ourselves here at the Crochet Crowd, we'll see you next time for week number 6 as we finish this stitch along together with you.